Hello, welcome to 8.9 News. I'm Costain. The Trinity Natural Capital Pro Council aims to facilitate a fair, efficient and virtuous transition of agriculture to unlock what it calls the natural capital century. Anna Woodley is the Managing Director of Business Development at Trinity Agtech. I asked her what the Trinity Natural Capital Pro Council is and what she means by the natural capital century.
The Trinity Pro Natural Capital Council has come together through collective vision of a set of leading organisations who really, I think it's fair to say, have a shared desire and vision to enable our whole agri-food supply chain, but really with the foundation of the farmer, to have a bit of a unified voice and a unified understanding of this whole natural capital space, and enable them to understand how they can quantify what they have using the most up-to-date science, the most up-to-date standards, because we feel very strongly that that's very important, but also to take that further, recognizing the real kind of source asset of those natural capital, putting a valuation to that. And we felt that really people were sitting back waiting for government to provide an answer, which isn't going to happen. And so we wanted to have a real unified voice, a shared vision, and it's the culmination of that to move forward. The natural capital century is really a nod to the fact that we feel like the last century was really heavily around calories, feeding a growing population, getting as many calories as we can into people and things like that. And whilst that hasn't gone away and that's still important, I think what we've ended up with is, probably not very good quality calories. We've ended up with issues with health. That kind of One Health piece, I think, is really important. I'm recognizing now that if we want to stabilize food production, feed a growing population, but also support our environment, that we need to globally, nationally, etc., move from this kind of calories for the sake of calories to more of a natural capital viewpoint.
So it's not that you're defining a new epoch, but this is a grand gesture to set up something important going forward. And you mentioned there that there are a number of large companies involved in this. I wonder if you could give us an idea of who they are.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a mixture of technology, accountancy, law, banking. So some really familiar names in there. Safri would be one of the largest agricultural accountancy firms in the UK and Scotland. So they're one of the founding members of the council, all the way to Fisher German, Knight Frank, huge land agency and rural management companies, Oxbury Bank, Mills Reeve legal firm, and of course Trinity being the science and the technology partner in that. So we've got some real powerhouses. It's not a closed shop. We're welcoming, more and more people in, but they're a set of founding partners. We also have institutions like Rays and also Scottish Land and Estates. So bringing in that kind of charitable angle as well, we felt was really important.
Now, part of the visioning within your brochure is about saying that natural capital is today's most valuable commodity, in the same way that gold was in the past. Now, that's quite a statement. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, I think it's a multi-layered answer, and it's probably not a short answer to that question. But where we really see natural capital as a commodity is really linked to ecosystem services. Natural capital ecosystem services really are the source, the root of all of our global commodities and the things that we need in order to generate those commodities: food, clean air, water, base minerals, all of those kind of bits and pieces like that. We know that 53% of global GDP is underpinned by natural capital, which is the equivalent of $44 trillion of global economy, which is reliant on nature. And so if we really think about economic classes and commodity classes, natural capital and the component parts of natural capital, the ecosystem services, have historically enabled us to generate these commodities, but have probably been overlooked in terms of a monetary valued resource. And the fact that they are very scarce and becoming more scarce means that we have to start to assign value to those, so that we recognise how that's linked into stabilisation and growth of more traditional economic commodity markets.
And I suppose gold itself was natural capital. If we think about it like that, it's a precious resource. It comes from the ground. It's finite, and so it's about identifying those sort of those future. I mean, some of which have already been identified, but looking at that natural capital, breaking it down in terms of what's available in the land within Britain on farms, so that that can be monetized and valued in a way that benefits the farmer and enables that environmental progression.
Really, really well said, Finlay. Yeah, absolutely right. And I think there's this, particularly in the last 10 years, but I think particularly in the last 5 years, a real recognition that we cannot have a stable global commodities market if we do not have a stable natural capital resource bank, and we don't, and therefore the risks associated with that, we really need to look at it through a systems thinking approach and appending value to that. As soon as something has value, it becomes recognized as a precious resource, and therefore we look after it, we grow it, we increase it, and that will stabilize our global economy. Gold won't do that. Natural capital will.
Anna, how do you expect the Trinity Natural Capital Pro Council to help unlock the level of capital required to stabilise Earth's systems?
It's a very good question. I think the real root of that, and it's a journey. This is the beginning of a journey, very much. The real root of this is this unified voice that we talked about, recognising that at the moment we've got a slightly chaotic world. I really dislike this term, the Wild West. I personally, I think it gives people permission to be a little bit lazy with their research and just kind of push it aside for future things. We don't have the luxury of doing that. So it's about saying, okay, if we don't have the luxury of waiting and we need to take action, we have the technology and an evolving technology to be able to take action on these things. How can we bring all of these things, which are complicated, to the people and the areas of land which can contribute to positive change? And how can we incentivize them, because they've got businesses to run. These farmers have got to produce food, they've got to be profitable, they're losing income streams in different ways. We have to be very sensible around that, but they are also the only businesses that can really contribute to positive change from climate. So bringing that unified voice to say, no, we're all saying the same thing. This is the set of actions. This is how we have a valuation framework that's steeped in absolutely best-in-class science, absolutely best-in-class legal framework, and that people can stand behind, and it evolves. That's the first of many steps, and I don't have kind of a whole future answer for you, because it evolves. It's a really big thing, but I think knowing that people aren't all saying different things, I think is a really good starting point.
Well, that brings me to my next question, really. You say that you're aiming to eliminate greenwashing, and I wonder how you set about delivering such a bold but challenging ambition.
It's a very large ambition. I think the root of that particular one, again, comes back down to scientific rigor. One of the reasons, there are many reasons why we have a history of greenwashing globally, not necessarily just in the UK, and actually almost less so in the UK, but certainly on a global stage. A big part of that is actually not nefarious. It's the fact that this is an evolving market, it's an evolving understanding, and as we as a society mature in our understanding of how we quantify, measure and manage natural capital assets, we will start to gradually move past that. From our perspective as the council, a major part of that again comes back to the fact that we recognise that the the science has moved on to address challenges of miscalculation, misreporting, challenges with MRV, etc. And therefore, we owe it to our farmers, we owe it to society to make sure that we are using the most up-to-date, widely recognised ground truth science. And that will evolve, and we should evolve with it. And what we have at the moment is still a sort of an acceptance that, well, we're kind of doing something, we know it's not right, but it's a box-ticking exercise. And we see that as completely unacceptable. We will not meet the challenges of climate change, of food security, of supporting our farming economy if we view this as a box-ticking exercise. And that, for me, is the absolute kind of backbone of how we move forward past willful or unwillful greenwashing.
That was Anna Woodley from Trinity Agtech. More about this and other headline news on our website, 8.9.com. That's all for now. We're back soon. Thanks for watching.